Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes Report. There's a warning. If you continue to watch, you run the risk of catching my virus because I'm sick. So, maybe the virus will spread through the internet, go through the wires, the internet, the airstream, and then, go through your monitor, and then you catch my virus. So I just want to tell you first because I didn't wear my mask. So, there is a lot of frontline changes with the Ukrainian mapping dropping a lot of intel or a lot of updates. So we have frontline changes a lot over in the Kursk front, on the eastern flank, Lyubimovka, northern flank, Borki, and then we have frontline changes over at Sinkivka, Pivnichne, Tbaivka, Kalinina in the Bakhmut front, Nelipivka, New York front, New York, Ukraine's Halinsinivka and Hyokivka. So a lot of frontline changes. So stay tuned, and if you just don't wear your mask. You after so many years of COVID, you still don't understand. I need to wear the mask. You don't need. Wearing the mask doesn't stop you from getting virus. It only stops you from spreading virus. So anyway, we're going to go into the Kursk front. At the Kursk front, the Ukrainian mapping have conceded a huge amount of grounds, and they now have shown on their mapping that the Russians have actually indeed taken the entire Snagos salient, with Russian forces now fighting in Snagos, taken Krasnooktябрьskoye, Vishnevka, the 10th October, Penasovka, and then now the Russians are already at Bakovo, Vinezepnoye, as well as Gordievka. So I need to pull up a bit. Is the arrow too chunky? No, I'm not sure. I wonder if it's too chunky. So anyway, and then based on the latest geolocations, they also have to admit that the Russians are now at Lyubimovka. However, they put it as a gray zone, but we have geolocations confirming Russian presence, so it's a capture on the DPS mapping. Fighting is now at Pokrovsk, as well as Pokrovka. So these are the frontline changes. On the Russian map, it doesn't really change much because it's only the Lyubimovka that changed. But on the Ukrainian map, this is a lot of change. So this is a lot of ground that is lost. So we'll continue to monitor the situation. So this is the frontline change over this side. I think I need to reduce this a bit too chunky. So let's move to the northern flank. At the northern flank, the Ukrainians fight offensive with offensive. Based on the latest Ukrainian mapping, the Ukrainian forces seemingly have taken more grounds. So this is based on Ukrainian claim. So this is not confirmed capture. Ukrainian forces have taken Kalinov, taken Kremyanoe, Zuravli, Duryovka, Jablovka, Vetreno, as well as fighting all the way to the area of Alexandrovka. So this is not confirmed by the Russian mapping. The Russian mapping totally didn't show anything about this. So it is interesting that we have the Ukrainians pushing northward while the Russians are pushing on the western flank. So let's wait and see how this develop. The Deep State US mapping usually is pretty reliable. So let's see how this goes. But this is all countryside again. So yeah, we shall see how this develop in the near future. So the next frontline change, we go to Borki. At Borki, the Russians bombarded heavily on Borki, and Russian forces have been geolocated to storm into the first buildings in Borki from the north. So this is the small frontline change, but it might be very significant in the near future because this is the first positions. But there's not a lot of troops, it's just one squad. So it could be just a vanguard or just a scouting or special force. They just go in to collect intel or whatnot. Who knows? May not necessarily means that they will hold ground over there. We move into Sinkivka. So at Sinkivka, at the Kupiansk front, based on Ukrainian mapping, Russian forces have taken another patch of forest on the western part of Sinkivka. So that's all about of this area here. We move further south to Pivnichne. At the Pivnichne front, north of Pivnichne, near Tbaivka, Russian forces have taken yet another major tree lines around here. So this is based on Ukrainian mapping by Deep State UA. So Russian forces are now developing further up north, and I think this might have something to do with the other Pivnichne, because they feel very offended that the Russians have already taken Pivnichne, but there's still another Pivnichne on the top. So it's like they I think they are just unhappy. You see, there's two Pivnichne, the Pivnichne and Pivnichne. So it's like maybe the Russians just feel very offended when we have taken Pivnichne, and then the Ukrainians say no, you haven't. So yeah, so they need to do justice to to what they claim. But whatever it is, this also looks bad for the Baivka. So things could happen. But let's move on to Kalinina. Over at the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, Ukrainian mapping have answered our question. They basically drew that the entire forest is taken by the Russians. Yesterday I did mention that there's a high chance this forest is not under Russian control. So now we have confirmation that this is the case. So after Kalinina, we go to the New York front, and major changes on the Ukrainian mapping around the New York City and the Nelipivka region. So, based on the Ukrainian mapping, they still continue to claim Nelipivka as under full Ukrainian control. So this is despite that we have previous geolocation of Russian forces inside Nelipivka. So whatever it is, we change the Ukrainian mapping to reflect this opinion. However, they no longer claim the factory. So they now have admitted that the Russians have taken the factory, and the Russians are now on the verge of fully capturing New York based on Ukrainian mapping. So, but based on Russian mapping, New York is already under Russian control. So let's wait and see how this develop. Very, very interesting. No differences in opinions of what the reality is. And then we go to the Pokrovsk front at Ukraine. Actually, it's south of Pokrovsk. So this is actually the most northern part of the Donetsk front. And Ukrainian mapping have admitted to bigger Russian advances around Ukraine. And so this was previously already claimed by the Russian side, but now there is more confirmation. Now this is a double confirmed from both sides that the Russians have taken more than half of Ukraine right now. And the center part of Ukraine is now a gray zone, and the Ukrainians are trying to hold back the Russian assault. Of course, we already have this Russian flanking movement coming from the rear position. So technically speaking, the Ukrainians can't possibly be holding at Ukraine. They must be redrawing, because this is untenable for the Ukrainian forces. So anyway, nearby at Helisinivka, Ukrainian mapping also admitted that the Russians have control of the south of Delinivka. So this is nothing much. This is expected, because this area here is undefendable. So that's all from the Helisinivka, Ukraine's region. And the last frontline change is over at Georgivka. So over at the south of Krasnohorivka, north of Marinka, this area here, the Ukrainian mapping have said that the Russians have taken this area here, north of Marinka region. So this is kind of expected because of the attack over at Hostre. So I need to pull this over a bit. Because of the attack on Hostre, the Ukrainians, if they are in this area here north of Georgivka and Marinka, they are at the risk of fully getting encircled. So they will have to withdraw to a line that is more defendable. So this is expected. This line is likely to close if the Russians continue to be able to hold a foothold over in Hostre. So anyway, this is it. So anyway, this is the frontline changes for the past 24 hours. Do press the like button, subscribe. This frontline changes report is a bit late. It's a bit late than what I preferred to post, because I was sleeping. I was very, very sick. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next update.